We may not be blood sisters or blood brothers, but we have a common dream. We share it at the deepest of our hearts, which is a dream of a developed, inclusive, interactive, new and a modern India. So that makes us all brothers and sisters and an integral part of SKOCH Parivar. So welcome to you all once again. In fact, the celebration for anything that happens in our life revolves around two legs. One is that, what is it that I have done? And the second is, what it has changed for the others. And these two things put together make any intervention or any project or any steps that one might take inclusive and rewarding. Rewards that you may not see yourself, but those rewards are received by people for which they are intended to. So in fact, the SKOCH Public Service Award intends exactly to do the same, wherein to celebrate the people who have not only gone an extra mile to make India better, but also at the same time have contributed immensely to make it inclusive. So these are those individuals whom SKOCH has observed not yesterday or not day before, but over years and years, maybe decades of whatever they have been doing. If there was one person somewhere in Guwahati who set up a common information center taking services at the doorstep of the people, which ultimately scaled to become the CSCs all across the northeastern region, that is something that needs to be talked about. Similarly, if there is an intervention which we say that in simple terms, taking the services to the grassroots, involving the people into governance process, giving them a voice, it cannot happen overnight. It does take years to reach there wherever we do. So this is precisely what the lineage, what SKOCH Awards have been able to pinpoint, achieve, identify, and recognize over a period of time. Not really an easy process. It takes a lot of us into the hinterland, feel the pinch, like the Plato said, that there has to be a text to the context and vice versa, and understand how and what they went through when they were looking at that particular intervention, not only for the people, but also for the administrator who was trying to change their mind. And this is exactly what we have documented over years. Not been an easy task. It's been Herculean, not only for us, but also for the administrators or for the people who have been behind it. Because when I say it's not been easy, the tide is never always in one's favor. So you have to go against the tide, put your foot firmly on the ground and say, it needs to be done, and it will be done exactly this way. So we have had an opportunity and privilege to look at many such beacons of hope, study their work, bring it to the table, and, ladies and gentlemen, proudly present them all to you as part of SKOCH Parivar and SKOCH Public Service Award. So let's put our hands together in celebrating those individuals who have gone much, much ahead in their line of duty. It is equally, in a civilian form, nothing less than a war. And we have excelled. So with this, I invite Mr. Kocher to say a few words before we kick off the award function.
Namaskar. Those of you have known me over the years would know that I only say what I mean to say, and I mean what I say. And I think mothers are incredibly important, in each one of our lives. My mother too was very important to me. She was blind, she couldn't see, and she was very religious. And we used to live in Paharganj, and there's this temple called Jhande Wala Mandir, which is Shakti Peeth. And she wanted to go for every Navratra, to pray to the goddess. And since she could not see, I would hold her finger and I would walk her there. I may have been in class 6 or 7. And it was a short walk, maybe 20-25 minutes one way. And in that walk, during that walk, she would share her dreams for me, that she wanted me to rise in life. She wanted me to be very well educated. She wanted me to be loved by everybody. She wanted me to have a big house and a big car. And in my little head, coming from a background where, even getting 2 square meals used to be tough at times, I would ask her that how would all this happen? We don't have money. We don't have money even to, take you in an auto to the temple. I walk you every day. So how will we get that? And she used to always tell me, tell Mata about it. And that is where, I discovered Durga as my second mother. And while I would go with my mother, I would tell all my aches and pains to the goddess and ask her that she must intervene in my life and make me reach wherever my mom dreams. So I think one very important thing that mothers do is that they dream for their children. So would have everybody else's mother in this room. Cut to much later, maybe 10 years back, 20 years back, when I bought my first Mercedes car, which is what my mother's dream was. She was very feeble at that time, bedridden. She had dementia, so she couldn't relate with things very well. But we lifted her out of the bed and we sat her in the car. And I told her, Mom, I have got that Mercedes that you wanted me to buy. And then she said, Beta, ye to 5 lakh ki hogi, tum to bahut amir ho gaye ho. So that was, I think, her blessing that I had, and several cars later and house later. So I think specifically in public service people also come with a lot of dreams. These dreams are not just theirs. They have their families dreaming for them from early childhood. Typically, public service people do not come from very privileged backgrounds. They come from ordinary backgrounds or underprivileged backgrounds or maybe slightly above the middle class. But they have this huge amount of parental goodwill behind them. And the second person who's incredibly important is the mother of my own children, my wife, Manisha, without whose help and support, SKOCH would have been nowhere. I mean, I was out on the road. I remember I was sacked from PCL because they had come up with this great scheme where you pay 100% advance and you get your PCs, but they kind of decided to use that money for a different part of their business. So when I questioned, I was sacked unceremoniously. So I didn't have a company house, no car, nothing. And we were expecting Rohan. And I recall Manisha going with me in a 3-wheeler to a hospital to deliver our first child. And from there, she supported me through and through. She worked when I started SKOCH. We were living off her salary for a while. And today I am whatever I am because of the good wishes of my mother, my wife, of course my children who are little spoiled brats, but anyway, just because they're so demanding, it keeps me going that, I have to, when they go, I want. So I'm very clear that when they get married, I'm going to vet the wife only on one thing. I don't want a third or a fourth I want in my house. So, you better take care of that. And that's the reason when Gursharan talked about SKOCH Parivar, and we think of awarding and celebrating people, we insist that do come with your families, because this is not a celebration of you. This is celebration of everybody who stood behind you, who made you what you are, and that is why we are all here today. Gursharan talked about some common elements. As I said, he said we have a common dream. We want to see India which is inclusive. We want to see India where the growth is job generative. We want to see an India where the growth is spatially dispersed. And we want to see an India where the growth is equitable and everybody is rising. No one is left behind. And that dream makes us family. Our own families make us family. Our backgrounds make our family. So, when we started SKOCH, the first thing that I did was, when you have no house, no car, nothing, you don't even have capital. So what do? You become a consultant. It costs you nothing to become a consultant. So you tell everybody else how to make money while you have none. So that was the time when Indian economy was just about opening up and everybody wanted to get into India. I won't say that it was very difficult for me, because in 2-3 months, we were able to get good clients. Everybody who wanted to get into India was a SKOCH client. And that was the time we used to sell this story, that India has got 200 million middle class, and each one of them will drink one bottle of Pepsi a week, and they will buy, one television set once in a year, and they'll buy one PC in 7 years. And so multiply that the middle class number and assume a 10% market share, the numbers are very, very large. Right? And those numbers would never happen. So so everyone was selling this big, large middle class dream, and it was too much in the future. It is now sort of being realized today. But having done this consulting business for a while, I realized that why is it that this country of over 1 billion people buys so less, why there is so much of rampant poverty. And I had looked at my experience and said, is everybody poor because their parents are handicapped or there are other reasons? And we started traveling across India, and there were a lot of learnings. You found that there were power asymmetries, there were digital asymmetries, there were financial asymmetries, there was caste, there was creed, there was religion. There were so many people who were poor for multifaceted reasons. And the poorest of the poor always, last one in the queue was always a woman. And that is why I'd say that while we look at everything through the prism of poverty, we should also look at things from the prism of women and how they are able to dream and rise up in society. So this journey started, and we started documenting. We would go to places as Majuli in Assam or Uttarkashi in Uttarakhand. We would walk sometimes for 8 hours, 9 hours just to reach isolated locations. Dr. Vijayaditya is here, and he made me walk God knows where all, because NIC is all over the place. And he said that if you want to see how digital India is happening, how e-governance is happening, you should go. And I made a documentary film on his work and NIC called Reaching the Unreached. From Temi and Namchi in Sikkim to, where all. We traveled all over the country looking at these small interventions. And we did that. We realized that we have this much criticized bureaucracy. These are people who are actually making things work at the grassroots against all kinds of adversities. In COVID, we have seen what kind of a response has come from the steel frame. So has the steel frame shaken? The answer is no. The steel frame has not shaken. The problem is that there are no more role models. Why there is no more role models is because historically they were, very senior, very powerful bureaucrats who were very visible, and their work was visible. Somewhere over the past 20 years, I think facelessness has become a virtue. So while everyone wants to credit their work to teamwork and all of that, how is it that given the same team and same resources, one bureaucrat is able to perform extraordinarily well and the other one that follows is not? Why it is still champion driven? So the reason is that there is of course something, there isn't that vision and all of that. And excessive humility is not good for the country, because then you cannot take note of and learn from the best practices that so many people have evolved. How will you inspire the next generation? How the next generation of officers would come up? So we started doing these case studies, and we have started acknowledging such people over the past 20 years through SKOCH Award. We have several kinds of SKOCH Awards, as you're aware. The most famous ones are competitive awards, where people apply and they compete. And it's a national competition. Even chief ministers compete in that award. And the beauty is that of the 20 years, there's not been even one controversy about the SKOCH Award, because we have such a rigorous evaluation process. And then we have some awards, such as what we're going to do today, which are through a discovery process. So we have very distinguished people like Dr. Ramachandran, we have Dr. Vijayaditya, we have industry leaders like C.P. Gurnani, we have Mr. Dhanendra Kumar, who's a distinguished fellow in SKOCH Foundation. We have a fairly good strength in SKOCH Parivar. Mr. Panda is sitting there, Nirmal Bansal is sitting there, who help us identify people that they've come across and we've come across, and pick and choose that this is something that we need to shine a torch on and identify. So this is how this discovery has been done through peer evaluation, through industry consultation, and through a nationwide hunt. So today we would be conferring 15 odd awards in public service. Also in literature, we find that every LitFest has become page 3 Serious literature, no one is really interested in. Tamil may write a fantastic book. I don't know, even 50,000 people will buy it. 50,000 print run is considered a huge print run when it comes to a public policy book or a book on economics, for that matter. So we've kind of picked up these books and we said these are the books you must read, discuss, and make it a part of the mainstream policy discourse. So we started this public policy lit fest. Here again, each book is reviewed by 5 or 6 practitioners and domain experts who then give their views, and finally you decide which book would go on to win this SKOCH Literature Award. And Public Policy Lit Fest and Public Policy Forum go hand in hand because they've kind of made for each other, and that's what we're going to be celebrating today. So with that, a big round of applause to all of you, my family. More than the Mercedes car or the house that I live in, I think the achievement that I personally feel very, very proud of is this, that everybody, all of you from across India, from different facets and different times in my life, have come together and joined me for this celebration. Thank you very much. God bless us all.
Well, thank you so much. This was quite heartwarming. And in fact, we feel it so much deeply from our heart that a full day, we can go on, and such kind of heartwarming stories will never come to an end. But yes, time is short. We need to move on. And we start with the announcement for the Literature Awards. And for that, I invite Mr. Kocher to join us on the stage. And also Mr. C.P. Gurnani, if you may also kindly join us on the stage. So I have the pleasure of inviting Dr. Amar Patnaik, Member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha, who has put together institutional change and power asymmetry in the context of rural India. The book develops a power asymmetry-based framework and argues that a champion with the right attributes and the ability to convene people over a social issue can only succeed if one can resolve or reduce the deep-rooted societal power asymmetries within that community. Mr. Patnaik has extensively drawn on the ground-level research inputs to examine informal institutions in relation to power relations in a rural ecosystem and uses institutional change theories to change these power equations in the community. Congratulations.
I said, so he's a person who thinks exactly like me. I am a hardcore decentralization advocate. I have done extensive work in Panchayati Raj and grassroots institutions, and there I feel government after government, India has failed. I hope we are able to change that. Unless people are able to decide for themselves, build grassroots institutions. And I was really proud to read his book because he's brought all of this together so beautifully.
Thank you so much, SKOCH Foundation, Mr. Samir Kocher, Mr. Gurnani, and all family of SKOCH Foundation for conferring this award on me. This book, when I wrote, was dedicated to my parents and all public policy practitioners. But after going through the book several times over and given today's description of what reality is at the ground level, I could say that I dedicate this award and the book once again to the poor and downtrodden of India. This book celebrates. This book, when you go through it, celebrates the same woman which Mr. Kocher talked about. These women who are considered deprived in society can also have the full potential to become institutional champions to bring transformation in society. The book talks about Kumari of Ganjam. The book talks about Bastina of Fulbani. The book talks about Aparajita of Keonjhar. These are some of the poorest areas, some of the most tribal concentration of people is there in these districts. And here the women have fought all societal pressure, informal institutions to bring about transformation, and a transformation which changes the ecosystem completely. More about it when you read the book. But once again, I'm grateful to SKOCH for bringing this up, because I strongly believe, as the motto says, equity, growth and inclusiveness, that's how the change will only happen. Thank you so much.
"10 flashpoints, 20 years, national security situation that impacted India." Mr. Manish Tiwari, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha. This is an invaluable addition to the literature on national security that looks back at the security situations that impacted India in the past 2 decades and evaluates India's responses, both successes and failures. Author examines the tools and processes of Indian statecraft, defense, diplomacy and intelligence, and weaves a veritable tapestry around the institutions and individuals that form part of the country's national security establishments. Mr. Manish Tiwari.
So when Manish's book actually got into news even before it was released, and I thought the title of the book was How to Win Friends and Influence People. It made a lot of news. But the reason why this book has been selected is we've always believed in speaking truth to the power. And a lot of people speak truth to the power, they're not equitable about it. So if you look at this book, he's been very even-handed in his praise as well as criticism of all governments. Not just so he's, he felt that the response to the Kashmir issue could have been more kinetic. He feels that the response to China could be better, but he's very even-handed in what he says. And when a politician sticks his neck out and makes such statements, then it is our responsibility to point that out and celebrate rare honesty in politics.
Thank you very much, Samir, for those kind words. Thank you, Mr. Gunani. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here this morning. I have had the privilege of interacting with Samir over the years, and of course have been a part of a number of events that SKOCH has organized on various aspects of public policy. And I must compliment Samir that in the approach that he's adopted towards extremely contentious public policy issues, he has ensured that all sides of the debate, all shades of opinion are brought to bear on an issue. And that is something rare in today's extremely polarized environment when everybody is trying to drive an agenda. So therefore, congratulations, Samir, and I wish you and SKOCH all the best. And I would like to thank you for honoring me for writing this book. It just comes out of reading too many Commando comics as a child. So therefore, but I do hope at some point in time, all of you would maybe get a chance to read it. My motivation behind writing this book was very simple. As I look back on the 70 years of India's journey since its independence, I find that because of the baggage of partition with Pakistan and because of the unsettled borders with China, India continues to be locked into the subcontinent. And till the time we do not find a modus vivendi and a sustainable modus vivendi with both our neighbors, India would never be able to achieve its true potential. The second underlying theme, as I examine flashpoints over the past 20 years and India's responses to them, is that unless and until South Asia does not integrate itself, again, neither would South Asia, which is the least integrated region in the world, nor India be able to rise to its truest potential. If a integrated South Asia, from the borders of Myanmar all the way till the borders of Iran, were ever to become a reality, South Asia and the 2 billion people that call it home would actually be the economic powerhouse of the world. So therefore, those are some of the dreams, as you can say, which really impelled me to write this piece. And once again, thank you very much, Samir, for recognizing it. I've tried to be as honest as possible, but when you're a practicing politician, honesty has its limits. Thank you.
Thank you. It has its limits and it has its price.
Pandemonium, the Great Indian Banking Tragedy, by Mr. Tamal Bandyopadhyay, who is a consulting editor, Business Standard, and senior advisor, Jana Small Finance Bank. It's a compelling story on the rot in India's banking system, on how promoters easily swapped equity and debt as bank management looked the other way to protect their balance sheets, until the RBI began waging a war against ballooning bad loans. Tamal has attempted to do a reality check in this book. Want to know what ails the public sector banks in India and more? Hear him and read the book. Tamal.
Congratulations, Tamal. So Tamal has written this book about the great banking tragedy. Unfortunately, some of the people he's written about are good friends over the years. So I've worked with people at ILFS for many years, and I've worked with Rana Kapoor for many years. And so I know them as people. He's looked at what else they have done, but I think it's a very, very refreshing book. And the pandemonium that is caused then, I think it still continues. And hopefully it will not get cryptoized.
Thank you. So first, big thank you. I'm not exactly a Scotch person. I prefer single malt. But still you consider me, invited me and consider this for an award. Thank you for this. This is an attempt to, this is my sixth book, an attempt to actually tell you what's happening. It's a sort of both a bird's eye view and also fly on the wall kind of approach, combination of that. I am not an expert. I am not neither an economist nor a finance person. I am a student of English literature. But just out of sheer curiosity and call it love, I look at finance with a different perspective and try to give you a sort of to tell you a story. That's it. I mean, I don't claim that I am an authority and whatever I have written, everything is absolutely correct. So feel free to read it, as you said, and criticize it. I'll be very happy. One, I don't want to talk about the book. If you are at all interested, read that. But one thing I've tried to do this, even if you don't read this 150,000 word, just go to 12. There's a chapter on chart, 12 charts. The 12 charts tell the story of Indian banking and finance. Just go through the charts, then you know what exactly we have gone through. And in retrospect, we could have actually renamed a Great Indian Banking Comedy also. So because here it's very tragic-comic, what we have seen. That's all. Thank you, and it's a big encouragement.
Rising to the China Challenge, winning through strategic patience and economic growth. There are 6 authors to it: Gautam Bambavle, Vijay Kelkar, Raghunath Mashelkar, Ganesh Natarajan, Ajit Ranade, and Ajay Shah. So I invite Dr. Ajit Ranade to receive this award on behalf of all the 6 gentlemen. It is an apt narrative on handling and rising China challenge in context of conflict that has resurfaced on the Sino-Indian border. Authors have been mindful of historical and economic realities and have developed an intellectual framework for an Indian strategy. The book examines this problem from India's point of view and carries out an in-depth study of China and compares and contrasts with India and establishes a roadmap for the economic diplomatic and military aspects of this bilateral relationship. Congratulations.
So the book argues that we don't really have to fight China. If India can grow and grow fast, that itself is a great response to China. But of course, he would be able to better tell about the book.
So I've known Samir Kochar for, I think Samir, at least 20 years, maybe longer. But we haven't been in close touch. We live in two different republics. He lives in Republic of Delhi and I live in Republic of Mumbai. So we do have diplomatic relations, as they say. But thank you, SKOCH Foundation, and thank you, Mr. Gunani. Thank you for the SKOCH Parivar. Actually, the SKOCH Foundation, like he said, single malt, but I would like to do it differently. If you see the K is, actually, if you think of K as silent, in fact, one of the vertical things about the K is missing. It's more a SKOCH Foundation. So, they're a think tank. So it's actually, to me, a SKOCH Foundation. It's quite amazing how relentless they have been. We used to wonder what is this SKOCH phenomenon. But as I got to know Samir and many friends who have been associated with you, Samir, they've told me about you. So even though we have not met, thank you very much. Really great honor for me and my co-authors to receive this award. I'd like to say a few things about the book because you see in 2001, India was, China's growth story is an export-led growth story. And in 2001, India was destination number 19 for China. That means India's importance for the Chinese exporters was at number 19. By 2015, India was already at number 6, going to number 5. So in fact, the India-China relationship, especially the economic relationship, was one of the most dynamic and fast-growing of the 21st century. And these are two fascinating countries in the sense that we think of ourselves, both of them were independent at the same time, 47 and 49. Both have a billion people, both are neighbors, and both think of themselves as ancient civilizations, right? And personally, I used to think, and maybe my co-authors don't fully agree, but I think we used to think that we can, as Mr. Manish Tiwari said, there are unresolved, unsettled border issues. But both of us at least some of us used to think that we can compartmentalize the relationship. So there's the economic relationship, cultural relationship, and there is the border relationship and the border issues. And this was the hope, this was the faith. Of course, this dynamically growing relationship on the economic front was asymmetric, and that was troubling to us. We were worried, we were concerned about how to reduce the asymmetry, but be that as it may. When Mr. Xi Jinping, when he took office, actually even before he took office, because a few months before that they announced, one of his earliest interactions was actually with an Indian press delegation, and he identified 5 different principles on the basis of which he wanted to pursue the India relationship. And very, very encouraging words. He said, we have to acknowledge each other's border issues, and they are thorny, but we are going to deal with them. But there will be economic relationship, there will be cultural, people to people, very encouraging words. But somehow, we feel that in the last few years, things have decisively changed. Not just in the India-China relationship, in fact, China's relationship with the rest of the world. Things have decisively changed. So those of us who used to fondly think that we can actually have compartmentalized relationship where we pursue and try to solve border issues, and also at the same time pursue economic relationship. All said and done, China is the second largest economy, soon going to be the first biggest economy. They have a $6 trillion consumer market growing at about 5%. It's an opportunity for exporters, but unfortunately in the last few years, it can't be compartmentalized anymore. So this book is an attempt in that direction. And let me just say, it says rising to the China challenge. It doesn't mean that you're going to be defeating China or overtaking China or, Then it says the subtitle is Economic Growth and Strategic Patience. So it's not going to happen overnight. We have a huge dependency problem. Some of the critical sectors, including pharmaceuticals in times of pandemic, we depend on Chinese imports across industries. So it's not going to happen overnight, but we need to move in that direction. And economic growth, of course, inclusive growth, your inclusive agenda is absolutely essential. And much of this work is actually domestic work. But China has given, this whole thing that happened last year in the summer in Galwan and before that in Doklam. It has really, the big lesson is that it's different now. I don't, without sounding too hawkish about it. But one thing before I conclude, I want to say that while this China book came out, we started in the middle of the pandemic, and because of Galwan, we started having these meetings informally. We just wanted to actually have a piece of a document which we want to not just put it out for the government or policymakers, but actually the people, people of India to read and to debate. And then it grew into a book. But I must say that in this 12 months, there are now 6 or 7 books on China, which is a good sign. But I want to express a concern that India's scholarship of China is really pathetically low. If you have a Chinese delegation coming in and you want to find a quick, we are in Delhi, but imagine being in Mumbai or Pune or Nasik, and you want a Chinese translator, there's no Chinese language courses that way. So even, studying Chinese language, Chinese culture, Chinese sociology or beyond. So I think one of the big priorities for India is to invest hugely in China scholarship. And we must distinguish between the government-to-government relation and people-to-people. So I hope, please read the book, at least the first couple of chapters, and I hope you put this word out. And thanks again, Samir, for giving us this honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The only thing I'm missing is that I wish we had a small book stall and we had an autographing session with the authors. Since I travel so much, I will get my chance to order my books and get them autographed. Clearly, all the subjects, the good work that the jury has done. I know I was speaking to Tamal just before this, when we came in, and Tamal actually said he was meeting his son after 2.5 years. The son had only come in last night, late in the night, but he still took a morning flight to be here for the whole day. It only just shows that how much love and respect SKOCH has created. How much goodwill have you guys created? So congratulations, Samir. So again, to me, that dream that all of you carry of inclusive or a better India, that itself is a very powerful statement. And it's like last 10 days I've been to Bhubaneswar, I've been to Lucknow. So you guys might say that these are not representative of India and they are not where Vijay asked Samir Kocher to travel, Dr. Vijay Aditya. But clearly, in my opinion, there is a definitive inclusive effort that is going on. And in a lot of ways, I think all of you as thought leaders have contributed. All of you as not only as thought leaders today, your number of books may get published and only 25,000 people may read it. You don't know how many of them electronically the chapters have gone from one end to another. And how many people which are in the last mile or in the last village are also still benefiting out of it. So my request is, please continue with your thought leadership. You are making an impact. People like Amar Patnaik, from administrative services to now Member of Parliament, clearly shows that the various chapters of each one of you, of your own life, is the only thing common is public service. So again, thank you and congratulations to all the award winners. And thank you, Samir.
Before we move on to the announcement of SKOCH Public Service Awards, Jijo, can I request you to run a small video? We have changed really, really dramatically and really, really very fast. Without having to put all the efforts together by each one of us, it would not have been possible. But yes, it doesn't mean to say that we have achieved our ultimate goal. We still got to go a long, long way. And when we say that this is an award in recognition of the efforts that have been made, this is not perhaps the end. This only means that there is a new beginning which is going to take place immediately thereafter. So we are standing here to celebrate such successes. And before I start inviting our distinguished guests, may I invite Tanmoy Chakrabarti to kindly say a few words, kindly join us here.
No, I have had the good privilege of working with a lot of public servants in my life. And as they say proverbially that, it takes two hands to clap. And in every instance of substantial transformation that we've been able to achieve, tremendous contribution has come from the other side of the house, which is the government. And as I stand today, Samir, SKOCH, recognizing some of this outstanding work is a true recognition of some of the work that has helped in the journey of the transformation of the country. So I commend Samir for this effort. Some of the people who are going to be recognized today, I've had the privilege of working with them as well. So my congratulations to all the selected winners. And there are many more as I look back in my career and some of the people that I worked with in some significant transformation like the passport program or the income tax e-filing program or the land records in Tamil Nadu or the unemployment guarantee scheme in Andhra Pradesh or the municipal transformation in Odisha, or so many others come to mind, the corporate affairs, which was the first program under Atal Bihari Vajpayee's national program of e-governance. There was the significant contribution of that civil servant who put his foot forward and said that I am going to work equally to bring about change. So it's not just the technology that brought change, it was also the mindset of that decision maker, that joint secretary, that mission mode director who was also equally responsible. So as I stand today, I remember and recognize all of them. Many names come to mind, but there have been the significant contribution from the government colleagues, if I can call them. We were partners in the process of transformation. And again, I commend SKOCH for recognizing some of them. And I'm sure that they will become the beacon or the messiah of many others to emulate the good work that has been done by the awardees today, and will set goals for many more of them to aspire to do transformational work to build the new India. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. May I now request Mr. Kochhar to join us on the stage, and also Mr. Dhanendra Kumar, who is Distinguished Fellow SKOCH Development Foundation and former and founding chairman of Competition Commission of India. I have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Injeti Srinivas, Chairman, International Finance Services Centers Authority. Currently heading the Maiden International Financial Services Center in India. He has played a pivotal role in decriminalization of various minor procedural and technical offences under the Companies Act that led to a significant improvement in India's ranking of ease of doing business. He was instrumental in pushing through Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code (IBC), ensured an increase in threshold for initiating insolvency proceedings under the IBC to 1 crore rupees. This move proved a boon for the MSMEs hit badly by the COVID pandemic. Congratulations.
Wonderful. Out of so many wonderful things that he has done, I think the IBC work really stands out, and a lot of peers and senior officers associated with us have pointed to just that, congratulations.
Thank you very much, SKOCH Foundation, for this recognition. It means a lot to me. It was very refreshing to hear words of praise for bureaucrats, because my inspiration to join the service was my father, who belonged to the first batch of the Indian Administrative Service. So I saw him, totally engrossed in public service, and I don't think he ever knew in which class we were studying, 4 of us, but for my mother, I don't think we would have been able to do much in life. So that was the sort of involvement, and that's what public service does to you. You get lost in that. And the first thing we are taught as a civil servant is anonymity. That means you have to silently work, and you don't have to, project yourself. When Mr. Kocher rang me and informed me that, they have selected me for this award, it was a pleasant surprise. So I asked him, how on earth did you, identify me or find me? And in a way that shows the value this foundation attaches to people, all people who are playing a part in the nation building process. And I think it's a great motivation, to get recognition. But I'll fail in my duty if I don't thank all of those with whom I worked during my 38 long years of service. Because in whatever achievements, I have been able to make, it would not have been possible without their support. Lastly, I would like to dedicate this award to the service to which I belong. Because but for this service, I would have never got these opportunities to serve in the nation building process in whatever little way I could. Thank you.
Mr. G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission. He's made it a mission to provide sustainable solutions to deal with water challenges. Water conservation, along with water harvesting, judicious and multiple use of water have been close to his heart. He is also leading the Jal Jeevan mission and contributing extensively to the aviation, have already contributed extensively to the aviation sector, notable being the setup of Aircraft Accidents Investigation Bureau that catalyzed revival of the airline industry.
Most importantly, he sorted out the water problem of a village many years back, early on in his career. I think they've named a pond after you or something like that. So how many of us have a pond named after them? It's a lake, yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Samir Kuchar and the SKOCH Foundation for recognizing the services. As Sir earlier said, bureaucrats are supposed to be faceless. We are supposed to be anonymous, and it is institutions like this which brings out or gives an opportunity for us to be recognized. Probably the police services have the President's medals and all, but IAS doesn't generally have that much of awards, but nice to be here. As was mentioned, I was running a campaign called Catch the Rain, Where It Falls, When It Falls. Probably very good, decentralized, most environmentally friendly campaign. And that was launched by the Prime Minister himself. And very happy to say that we had almost 45 lakh structures in the last 6-7 months. So not much of publicity on that, because it was done silently with the help of the people's participation. So that's the message which Mr. Kochar was also telling: decentralized, participatory management and solutions for that. So thank you for recognizing this efforts. The clarification which I would say that I am not letting Jal Jeevan mission, I am looking after National Water Mission, and probably from first onwards we'll be taking over as DG Namami Gange for cleaning of water. Thank you.
May I now invite Mr. Rajiv Arora, Additional Chief Secretary, Home and Health and Family Welfare, Haryana. Mr. Rajiv Arora has been at the forefront in tackling the COVID-19 pandemic in Haryana. Under his guidance and leadership, the state took several innovative measures to increase COVID-19 testing and vaccination. To ensure the affordability for the general public, he capped the treatment cost for COVID-19 in private hospitals. The effective management of crisis in Haryana is reflected in the lower mortality rate, better than the national average. He has contributed extensively to the fields of infrastructure, industrial development, trade and commerce. Congratulations.
So, Haryana is not very well known for this, but they were one of the best performers in COVID management. And more than that, what touched my heart is, as a state, they had special facilities for children with special needs. Children who would not get vaccinated easily, and they had challenges. So even that level of detailing was taken care of. Of course, his track record overall has been exemplary, and we're looking forward to a lot greater success for Mr. Arora.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dhinendra Kumar, who is from our cadre only, and the SKOCH Foundation. I'm extremely happy to be here to receive this award. It's ironical that we have been given this award because of our performance in the management of Corona. Of course, with the shadow of Omicron again looming large, one is a little apprehensive that we should be able to do the same whenever it comes. But otherwise, I am also like to kind of inform that generally speaking, if you see, many of the North Indian states were not known very well as far as the health sector is concerned. So it was generally kind of felt the preserve of the Western India and the Southern India. But even the India Today State of the States report, they have said that Haryana now in health comes at number 3 in the country, quite up from say about 12 or 13 which it was earlier. So I'm happy that we are trying to create that kind of environment to provide the social indices also in the North Indian states, which have already had better economic indices and not the social indices. That's a very, very important challenge. And of course, I have spent most of my life more in industrial development field, and created a lot of IMTs. In fact, Mr. Dhinendra Kumar was one of the first persons to be the chairman of the Industrial Development Corporation Haryana, where I had the opportunity to spend about 7-8 years. So I think the civil services, they do provide an opportunity to keep changing very rapidly from the industrial development to trade, commerce to health. So I think that's the beauty of the service. With this, I'd like to again thank the organizers of this award.
Pleasure, sir.
Our next award goes to Mr. Sanjay Jaju, Additional Secretary, Department of Defence Production. He has played a definitive role in pushing Make in India initiative in defence and aerospace. Apart from attracting investments in these sectors, he has been instrumental in setting up Defence Innovation Organization for creating a collaborative platform for startups in defence sector, first in India. He earlier transformed NHIDCL into an e-company with projects like Inampro, Infracon and ePace. Earlier as IT Secretary of Undivided Andhra Pradesh, he steered to make Andhra Pradesh a pioneer in leveraging IT for citizen services. What he experimented even earlier than that as Collector of East Godavari District as e-Seva for rural areas today covers the entire gamut of citizen services across all urban areas in the state.
So Sanjay, I have had the privilege of looking at you since you were a youngster. You were in East Godavari, Visakhapatnam, such wonderful projects that you've done, which have now scaled, and all of them have become a national reference point. The work that has happened in defense production is truly outstanding. And I think this $1 trillion digital economy, defense production is going to be a very important and a significant part of it. You're still young, you're still only additional secretary, so I'm sure there are lots more SKOCH awards on the way for you. And congratulations and all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sameer. Thank you, SKOCH Foundation. In fact, my association with SKOCH and Sameer goes back to 2000, Visakhapatnam. Sameer also was young at that time, and he's still young. And I remember him documenting Soccarium at that time. Nobody had heard of Soccarium at that time, but Sameer was the one who documented, and I don't know where he got that information from. So my association with you has been close to 20 years now. You've been doing a great job in terms of showcasing the performances, bringing out case reports, and I think those learnings are very important for generations of civil servants, and pleased and honored to receive this award from the foundation and from you, sir. Thank you very much, and I'm sure I live up to the expectations that the foundation has, and I'll strive to do my best in whatever domain I am placed into. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Mr. Arun Kumar Singh, Additional Chief Secretary, Food, Public Distribution and Consumer Affairs from Jharkhand. He has left indelible footprints in all the sectors that he has worked, including urban development, agriculture and sanitation. Played an important role in decentralization of urban local bodies in Jharkhand and introduced several reforms related to urban development. He has made exemplary contributions in urban sanitation. His innovative ideas like construction of skill development centers, community toilets, reverse vending machines and Google Toilet Locator played an instrumental role in making cities of Jharkhand clean and citizen-friendly.
Congratulations. And his work in, I think, PDS has also been very remarkable.
First of all, I thank Sameer ji and SKOCH Foundation for having invited me for this occasion. And as the earlier speakers expressed that the administrative services, they don't get recognition and we are faceless. But this is an opportunity which has been given, and I would like to correct that right now I am looking after the Health Department of Jharkhand. And when I was given allotted Bihar cadre, it was a challenge, working under adverse circumstances, but I have enjoyed each and every moment of my career, 32 years which I have spent so far, 33 years. If we see Jahanabad, which was one of the worst affected districts, it became a literate district. We took up literacy campaign in Jahanabad. If we go to Nalanda district, it was a district which had legacy of communal riots, and I took up that challenge, and since last 22 years there are no communal riots, because the challenge of changing the route, the challenge of changing the mindset of the people, which I initiated, are still there, and people still, though it is now in Bihar, they still love me. In agriculture, which was considered backseater for a state like Jharkhand, which is known for its mining capabilities. We won the Krishi Karman Awards. In sanitation, as has been said, we have won the National Sanitation Award, the Swachh Bharat Mission Award, defeating all the states in the country, defeating Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Karnataka. Jharkhand became the cleanest state. In the first phase of COVID, I was looking after the food department. We fed around 5 crore people free of cost.
across the state, and it was a great satisfying moment for me. And later on, during the second COVID wave, the Chief Minister realized, and I was called to take up the challenge of COVID, and we were able to handle it in a very efficient manner. I'm thankful to my parents, my family, my friends, the people who supported me, the people who loved me, the politicians who gave opportunity to me to work under such circumstances, the challenges which we took up, and we came out successful. I'm quite sure that these type of award ceremonies would motivate the officers to do and excel. I thank Samir for all his effort. Thank you.
Now invite Mr. Sanjay Kumar, Additional Chief Secretary, Education Department, Bihar. Known as a no-nonsense and tough administrator, he leads from the front. When COVID-19 pandemic hit Bihar, he streamlined and introduced several proactive measures to mitigate the impact of the pandemic on common people. He provided the much required support to use the TV as a medium for imparting quality education and by digitizing all education material from class 1 to 12 via portal e-lots. He has led to the transformation of aspirational districts, where 4 districts from Bihar are among top 5 aspirational districts as champion of change. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I think I first met you in the Chief Minister's office, and I was mightily impressed with, in a state like that was Jharkhand, I think. Yeah, it was so sophisticated and well qualified, well read, totally in control. Quite a contrast to the Chief Minister then, I'm sure. That
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sameerji. And thank you, SKOCH Foundation, for this privilege. On a moment like this, you tend to look back. Before I joined the service, I led a very cocooned life. Absolutely no touch with reality. It was books, classes, friends. And then I got into the service. I was prepared for a lot of things. But one thing really rankled me, and it is the great sense of injustice which you see. In my initial years, I did quite a number of field postings in Naxal-affected districts. And I saw the kind of injustice we do from a very close distance. And the rest I could understand, but I could never understand this, and I don't. Over the years, things have changed. I guess the way the media has evolved, social media has evolved. Things have changed. The character of justice or injustice has also changed. But I guess this innate sense of acceptance in the Indian elite, it rankles me still. Somehow I really don't quite understand why we still accept what we do accept. The second thing which has always bothered me is the speed at which we do business. 86, I went to the US to study, and one of my apartment mate was a Chinese engineer who had come from a village near Chengdu in Sichuan province. He used to call me Sanjay. So one day he says, Sanjay, you have Rajdhani Express in India, which travels at 120 kilometers per hour. Unfortunately, nothing in China travels more than 40 kilometers per hour. And I remember this conversation because Fast forward 35 years to 2021, on a good day, Rajdhani Express is still traveling at 120 kilometers per hour. And look where the Chinese have gone. Now, of course, I'm not comparing the Indian situation with that of China. Of course, China can do business at a much faster rate than we can do, but I still don't see the reason as to why we still can't make it better. And I guess this happens to our government programs, the kind of schemes we'll do. And I think there is a need for a collective sense to be able to think about it as to what ails us in this particular sector. Why aren't we able to do things? If something is to be done in 5 years of time, it needs to be done in 5 years of time and done away with. I mean, I'll give you an example. We started a scheme called National Iodine Disease Deficiency Control Program in late 60s to ensure that every citizen should get iodized salt. 50 years is still not 100%. Only 4 states manufacture major part of salt in the country. I fail to understand why we cannot ensure it, why we do not have the willpower to do that. But a lot of things can be said on this particular occasion. I think Manish ji, Samir ji were mentioning that bureaucrats earlier were not faceless. And we were always taught that bureaucrats are supposed to be faceless, outside the system. But within the system, the bureaucrats had a face. And they had a face and a very strong face. The sad part is that within the system also, we are going faceless.
I now invite Mr. Nitin Gokaran, Principal Secretary, Public Works Department, Uttar Pradesh. He has been at the helm of making the road network better in the country's most populous state. He played an instrumental role in providing unique code for every road in the state, leveraging IT. He has implemented a project called Pragati, which refers to proactive governance and timely implementation, under which information of every road network is present online. He earlier coordinated the mass rapid transport system in the state, Lucknow, Agra, Kanpur and Meerut MRTS, as well as Delhi Meerut Rapid Regional Transport System. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And as you know, infrastructure and roads is the major calling card in Uttar Pradesh today. That's the big performance change that they're talking about. And thanks to Nitinji here. Of course, I have known him since you were in urban development, right?
No, I'm from
Information. Yeah.
Thank you, SKOCH Foundation, for calling me and bestowing this honor on me. When Dr. Kocher called me up, I was a bit flustered as to why I've been called for this, because I never applied for anything. I thought people apply for all these things, and I was told that they've been tracking what I've been doing, and that's why they've called me here. And I was really grateful for this honor. As a generation, like Sanjay mentioned, we've been trained to be nameless, faceless bureaucrats and remain there and do your work. In UP, we call it "Neki kar darya mein dal." That's it. We don't, try and take credit for what we do, thinking that this is part of what we should be doing in any case. But as things have changed now, people have started recognizing through platforms like yours, like the work that is being done. And I'm sure that this will inspire a lot of my colleagues. This is actually a recognition for the service itself and for all the colleagues who have worked on it. It's not just an individual who actually delivers. There are a lot of back-end support, not the least the political support that is given for projects like this to take place. And I'm really grateful that SKOCH has honored the entire project team through myself. Thank you very much, and this will, I'm sure, spur a lot of us to excel in whatever fields we do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm grateful. Just yesterday was his elder daughter's wedding, and he's made time to be with us today. So thank you so much.
Mr. K.R. Jyotilal, Principal Secretary, Transport Department from Kerala. Kindly join us here. He has made remarkable contributions to diverse sectors including transportation, revenue management, district administration, fisheries, information technology, food, civil supplies and consumer affairs. He was instrumental in implementing the Safe Kerala project, introduction of solar boat, EV policy and hydrogen fuel cell project in the state. He's been leading the development of key infrastructure projects related to transportation and aviation in Kerala. It includes Kannur International Airport and Kochi Metro Rail project. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, SKOCH Foundation. In fact, I don't know whether I deserve it. Generally it is said, life is a dream, realize the dream. And life is nothing but look inside for everything. All the problems you need to solve within. So we need to compete with ourselves. In fact, I should thank the Honorable Chief Minister, Chief Secretary, all the bureaucrats or the people who are down below who have been helping it make it happen. Actually, the vision of the government was 5 zeros, nothing but zero cash. That means 100% digital. Everything should be digital. So it's a physical integration as well as mobility sector digital integration. In fact, I should thank Sri Nandan Nilakeni to bring the first UPI of mobility, that's open mobility networks, where you can seamlessly integrate various modes of transport. Zero cash, zero waste. There is no concept called waste. Everything can be converted into energy. Like Einstein said, matter and energy are same. So you need to Advaita or what Shankaracharya said. So zero cash, zero congestion. Your cities has to be productive. That means you need integrated, not coordination. We have got a lot of committees. Committees are nothing but come to tea. Sometimes we meet, but integration is very, productivity of a city depends on how fast you move the men and material. So we have got the Metropolitan Transport Authority is probably first time in the country, which we brought to reduce the congestion and increase the productivity. And zero waste and zero congestion, zero emission. That is where we started with probably we are one of the fastest adoption in the electric vehicles in the country. And probably Tata is finding it difficult to even supply the demand for Nexon vehicles. And we have moved to hydrogen. I am sure that within next 10 years, the India is going to lead the world, because the carbon to hydrogen transformation is going to happen in next 10 years. And we have brought the first hydrogen vehicles, including hydrogen economy, so that move from carbon to hydrogen in the age of this climate change. So, and the zero accidents, because we had one of the maximum number of deaths around 4,000 people used to die in the road accidents. We brought a vision zero to reduce it to zero. If not zero, at least 50% if you reduce, we are saving a lot of families. So actually the entire team, including maybe right from top to lowest person, I think they helped us making this dream a reality soon. Thank you.
Principal Secretary, Health and Family Welfare Department from Tamil Nadu, Dr. J. Radhakrishnan. He's been at the forefront of handling major disasters in the state of Tamil Nadu over the years, played a critical role in effective handling of the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami that wreaked irreparable havoc in Nagapattinam and Cuddalore districts of Tamil Nadu. He has successfully tackled many such crisis situations in the subsequent years. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit the state, he was brought to the forefront to manage the crisis even during the second wave, when the state was scrambling for hospital beds, oxygen, medication and testing facilities. More of a crisis management man. He has managed crises ranging from tsunami to Kumbakonam school fire tragedy to campaign against female infanticide to the pandemic. Congratulations.
Congratulations, and he's here with his lovely family as well.
Thank you so much. First of all, a very distinguished gathering, and it's overwhelming to get this kind of recognition from you all. But this moment, actually, I remember somewhere, I had this unfortunate challenge of going to a district, and within 15 days, many people would remember 94 children died. And on the day of tsunami, the then Chief Minister asked me to go to Nagapattinam, where 6,065 people died. And in all these people, we got the resilience of people. People came back. One person came to our house and said that, my mother was alive that time, that so much, the then Chief Minister wrote a big letter, the then Prime Minister's office, everybody appreciated the then President and all, but he has never been recognized by government. So my mother told in Tamil to that person, Yarappum, Yadappulayum, Pugar Tedakudadu. I'll convert it in English later. But that he has got, the government has given him opportunity to serve people in disaster. And adila vela seiya vaaipu kudutade oru migaperiya recognition. What she meant was, no one should try to seek awards out of death and disaster, because so much of destruction has taken place. People have died, many people have lost livelihoods and all. So that he has been given an opportunity by the government to serve them, it itself is a very big recognition. So deeply touched that in spite of all that, today you have recognized us. And of course, needless to say, the family has always been supportive. But most importantly, this actually in all this, if you look at the biological disaster now, the resilience of people is what motivates us. Whatever it is, we wade through and then show to the world that we can come back and rebound. And that nothing specifies it more than Akkarapettai, where within 3 square kilometers, more than 2,000 people died. But today it is one of the most vibrant fishing villages of Tamil Nadu. I thank all the faceless people behind us. We ourselves came to be faceless, but behind us, grassroots people who work. The person who puts the disinfection, the person who actually used a proclaim to clear the place for 17 days without taking bath, without a change of dress in tsunami. And many people who work in the hospitals. The credit and the award is dedicated to all of them. Thank you once again for this humbling experience.
Well, congratulations. In fact, about Nagapattinam, the moment I talked about it, the memories come alive. We were there to study Nagapattinam at that time when all these disaster management activities were taking place. Within 2 months, the life had returned to normalcy. Schools had become operational and the children were there in the school as much as the teachers were there taking care of them. This is something which is what having to maintain the continuity, not only in terms of the education, not only in terms of the resumption of activities, the resumption of livelihood and so on and so forth, that can go unnoticed. So disaster on the one side, but managing it well is something which never goes unnoticed. So congratulations to you. May I now invite Ms. Sangamitra Ghosh, Secretary, Women and Child Development and Social Welfare from West Bengal. West Bengal has done remarkably well in areas of maternal and child health. The state has made huge progress on key parameters to gauge the development of maternal and child health. She has been pivotal to this. Being at the helm of the National Health Mission in West Bengal for 5 years, she played an important role in improving health infrastructure and services in the state. She's been working tirelessly for the welfare of the marginalized. Congratulations.
It was just before the West Bengal elections. I was talking to the Honorable Minister, Mrs. Shashi Panja, in West Bengal, and said that, it is because of the great work that has happened with women and child development that you will be elected back. And that actually came through. Congratulations. Very seldom an officer's work reflects, good governance wins is a point I think she has proven, and she's proven it well.
Thank you. This is so completely unexpected. I'm not very sure why I have been chosen, but nevertheless, I'm very grateful. Thank you, SKOCH. Thank you, the entire SKOCH Parivar. As an Indian Administrative Service Officer, I firmly believe that being in a position to render service is its own reward. And I'm a proud member of the service. It's a privilege and it's a blessing to be part of an environment which allows you to do so much good. However, it's always delightful to be nominated, and thank you once again. It's been a long time in service, and I really do believe that this is an award which really doesn't belong to me, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all my colleagues, my team members, and my seniors, who throughout the quarter of a century that I have been in service have stood shoulder to shoulder, guiding me and supporting me in whatever capacity I have served. And I would also like to take this opportunity, and it's not an opportunity one comes by very often, to thank my family, my parents, my spouse, my children, who have uncomplainingly, been a support, many little sacrifices, many big sacrifices, and they have been my comfort, my strength, and the wind beneath my wings. And I believe that this award will remind me, not that we need reminding, we have a lot of other pointers, that there are so many promises to keep and we have so many more miles to go. Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Anna Roy, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog. If there is one person credited with framing India's artificial intelligence policy, this is her. She has led the development of national AI strategy amongst several other policy initiatives. Often referred to as the AI Woman of India, her focus has been on leveraging AI technology to solve real socio-economic problems faced by millions of Indians. The Ministries of Finance and Civil Aviation earlier and now Niti Aayog is benefiting from her experiences in the field of public-private partnership, infrastructure reforms and empowerment, where she is leading the Women Empowerment Entrepreneurship Platform, a Niti flagship initiative for developing the ecosystem. Congratulations.
Niti means policy in Hindi. So ever since Planning Commission became Niti Aayog, I think policy making was at the forefront, and she's one lady who's really done an outstanding job of modern policy making, whether it's AI, whether it's digital banking, other areas, and even areas such as promoting women entrepreneurs. She's done a yeoman service to the cause. Congratulations, Energy.
Thank you. I'm I think the only Indian Economic Service Officer nominated today. When I got the email, I actually did not respond, and I got a follow-up call, I think, from you. Because, being from the Indian Economic Service, you don't think you are actually doing public service. That's the forte of the Indian Administrative Service, I think. And no, I didn't, I actually mean seriously. One of my first bosses who told me that mine is a very, very spoiled service. All our life we remain in Delhi, and we only get to see a handful of administrative service officers who manage to come to Delhi and stay here. And we aspire to have similar kind of, my service colleagues will hate me for this, but he used to say that we aspire for similar levels, and we do not see those huge amount of IAS officers who serve in the states under various pressures, accountability and all. So somehow all these many years, that message has remained with me. So I was really pleasantly surprised when I got this, and I actually got the permission from my boss to receive this award. On file, I said I have no financial or any other dealing with SKOCH. I have never dealt with SKOCH. that is coming from my training in infrastructure reform, where I feel over the years I've seen how conflict of interest is undermined in this country, and that is also has remained with me. But a very, very pleasant thing, and to be in this august company with such other people who have worked on the ground, achieving so much, it's really humbling. And thank you very much, Samir, for remembering me. Thank you, sir. And I would like to congratulate all the other awardees. Thank you very much.
And now invite Dr. B.N. Shetty, Chief Technology Officer from MHA. He is credited with streamlining the passport, visa and overseas citizenship of India and implementing many citizen-centric e-governance projects. If obtaining a passport is just a simple visit to the Passport Seva Kendra today, it is due to the Herculean efforts put in by Dr. Shetty. Immigration Visa Foreigner Registration Tracking, which is IVFRT system that he developed, has made it easy to track inbound foreign travelers. The interoperable criminal justice system, National Cybercrime Reporting Portal are some of the few contributions made by him that have made it easy to integrate various databases in order to enhance national internal security.
Congratulations, and I have known you forever through your passport days to your Ministry of Home Affairs days and such critical national infrastructure you built. So God bless you and congratulations.
I really feel honored by recognizing in this for this award. I am thankful to Samir ji, Dushyadan ji and every member of this SKOCH for giving me this opportunity. And what I believe, I have been now completed about 35 years in the government. What I believe is that to give the public service, I think your service or designation or position, it really does not matter. When I am as a technocrat, when I get into the system, I was looking for an opportunity to help someone wherever I get an opportunity. Actually, I had worked as a public grievances officer for the overseas citizen passport system and long time, maybe over 10 years. There are few incidents I could see that I have done correct or wrong. Maybe by law it may be wrong. Like for example, two incidents I want to tell you that actually where I really stuck up. See, sometime in Mumbai airport, one family landed in airport. They are actually not, they were NRIs, Indian passport, they are not holding Indian passport, but under OCI they entered the country. And they are not known to me or anything. My name and actually grievances, my name is not given. It is not like a OCI help desk. It is shettybn@nic.in with my mobile number. And I got a call. The call says simply the three people, one is small kid and two very elderly people. The kid has some discrepancies in the OCI card. OCI was there, it was not there. And they have been asked to go back as per the rule. There is nothing with this thing. When I got a call early morning at 4 o'clock, the family was crying, saying that the kid cannot travel back to again USA because it's a too young kid and having some problem. And the parents, they cannot go also. So in that circumstance, I have taken out the record in the night. Then I had sent the record on because they forgot the OCI card to carry along with their passport. Only OCI sticker was there. And I requested the immigration officer, he was worried actually, why did you making all this call at 4:15, 4:30? And I said that I could feel that, I am feeling that my kid is there or myself was there in that situation and please help them. Then he said he'd send a mail along with that night. Then I was able to do that and help it. I got so much satisfaction when I got a mail from them. They were getting to the country. They got a relaxation for 3 days. Subsequently, we got it to the MHA officers and I convinced them. We got it over there, a regular entry. This is actually, when you are able to do some help, you feel really good. And another incident I can say that actually earlier there was a rules before Bombay blast, before that. Actually, you can come and stay and go many times. After that, there was a rule actually, visa is not valid for beyond 2 months. Within the 2 months, you cannot enter twice the country. Then what happened? One family, one lady came, her mother was in hospital, in the Apollo hospital, and she landed. And her actually, it was within the 2 months, because she was a doctor, her mother was a patient. In that circumstance, you have to help beyond the law. I had requested the immigration officers, I took the undertaking, and I don't know who are they. I have not got, they have contacted through my public number. That is what I am proudly saying, that whenever you want to help the public service is actually, it's a gift to you. When you get an opportunity to do the public service anywhere, it is really helps. In my this journey, 35 years, the NIC, my organization, I got the support from my juniors or the seniors. All the times, even today, I am getting. I actually dedicate this award to my colleagues in NIC, and I actually see that SKOCH has been actually associated with me maybe 15, 18 years back. And I think I got their first award in 2002, I think. In 2002, I got the first award. Subsequently, also many times they recognized. What I could see, that this type of encouragement really boosts your moral and feel like doing something more, and others also feel like. That is what I request, that I think that they should continue to have this one. This is a great this thing for the people. And at the end, I want to say my family, my wife Vilasini and my children Dhanush and Dikshit, they continuously encouraged me in my service, and I'm thankful to everyone, and thank you.
And our last award goes to Mr. Golak Kumar Simli, Chief Technology Officer from Ministry of External Affairs. One of the major successes of the digital drive in the government is the Passport Seva project, very close to his heart. He believes in creating innovative business models for public services and governance. Passport Seva is just one example of his conviction. He's also architected and implemented cybersecurity and data and information security framework for several other projects. He's worked across the spectrum, private sector, PSUs, Reserve Bank of India, and more than 14 years with the government. Congratulations.
Possibly the most awarded person in the government, so I don't know, this award is coming too late to him, but over to him.
Now thank you Sri Samir ji, SKOCH Parivar, Mr. Danjal and team, the jury who has now recognized me for this particular award. It has been really an honor and privilege for me to receive the SKOCH Public Service Award, probably the highest and best regarded honor in the country. I truly believe, and I have seen Samir ji saying that SKOCH has been always in the forefront dealing with the public causes at large, and also adding to the development goal of our nation, especially those sections of the society who need it the most. I do remember my early days when I was actually growing up, coming from a farmer background, a remote village of Jharkhand. Probably there was no electricity, there was kind of a well for drinking water. Schools are miles away means miles away. And probably those were the days where I was thinking back, saying that how do we connect to people? How do we give back to the society? How do we do something for the masses at large, the section of the society who need it the most? And probably that is the reason whatever we are today, whatever we are doing today for the public at large. I really and sincerely thank all my colleagues, professional colleagues, the teams, my senior management, the senior leadership in the ministry, who untiringly and guidingly guided me throughout this journey. At the end, I must thank my parents. Probably they might be seeing somewhere from the up in the heaven. My wife, who is here, and she has been the pillar and guiding support everything for this glorious journey, whatever I am today. My three beautiful daughters to whom I fondly tell them my princess, Papa's princess, who could not be here today. So I really thank you, Samirji, for this recognition and the SKOCH Parivar at large. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samirji, for giving me this opportunity to be here today. Just a few words, traversing down my long journey. There was a 23-year-old young IAS officer coming out of cocoon who had joined the civil service in the field, and when he went to his deputy commissioner, that was Ambala. And for 15 days, the tough deputy commissioner didn't give him a smile. After 15 days, he invited him for dinner at home. So I went there. Strolling on his path, this driveway, I asked, "Sir, this long-looking grass, why don't you get it cleared? It would make such a beautiful lawn." I remember in our university, we had beautiful lawns, and they were social, University of Allahabad in the hostel, beautiful social functions. He looked at me in horror. "What? You call my IR8 as long-looking grass?" And his non-smiling, tough face became tougher. He sat without any word on the dining table, and next morning I was driven to a village. And for 10 days, the instructions were that he is not going to see the city, no vehicle, he has to walk in the fields, he has to live in the lumbardar's house, no city food, and then familiarization with revenue and so on. Anyway, at the end of it, when I came, I got a good meal with big smile from him and from his wife. The point I'm trying to make that interaction with the people was something which was the first thing which I learned, that this is what is your true education. You may have learned all the theories, you may have been a topper in the university and all that, but the interaction with the people with whom you have to work, the stakeholders, this is what is your real training. And this is what carried me through from 1968-69 till recently in my 40 years plus of journey in the service. I remember two more anecdotes, if I may. One, I was posted in London as director of the India Investment Center. That was in 1983-84. And I was addressing a big gathering of NRIs. My job was to promote investments into India and facilitate their procedures. So after my long speech, I gave them the procedures and everything. Why should they invest in India and all that? That was in Birmingham. So somebody stood up. He said, "Mr. Lecturer, you have told us all that. Why should we invest in India? Whenever we go there, we meet the inspector at the airport." I'm talking of 84. Inspector at the airport, he asks us, "What have you brought? Which bottle? Which watch?" and all that. And when we go out, then again there is a problem getting the taxi and on the way and all that. He gave a long list of his problems. So then I stood up on the platform. I said, "My dear friend, you have told us all the horror stories. I have only one sentence to tell you. When you go home, मैंने हिंदी में बात की थी, आप जब घर जाओ तो दामाद की तरह से मत जाओ, बेटे की तरह से जाओ. वहाँ जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उनको सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करो. I have never said India is the most ideal country to do business. But India में जो भी है आपका देश है, अगर आप उसको कुछ सुधार सको तो बहुत अच्छी बात है. So that's the second story I am reminded of. The third story, and very quick one, we always learn in whichever capacity we work, from our seniors, as I said in the beginning, from the people with whom we work, and from our juniors. I used to work as Principal Secretary to Chief Minister in Haryana. This was in 90s. And one of my junior officer, he was Rajesh Khullar. And again, I'm reminded when Rajiv Arora mentioned about my days in Haryana. Rajesh Khullar was at that time Director of Public Relations. He worked with me. Later on, he also became Principal Secretary to Chief Minister, and currently, incidentally, is also India's Executive Director in the World Bank, where I also worked for 4 years. So he once came to me, sir, I have a scheme in case you think it is appropriate. He described the scheme, and I immediately bought the scheme. It was wonderful. We named that scheme Apni Beti Apna Dhan. The problem was, हरियाणा में लड़कियों की जो रेशो थी, जेंडर रेशो, बहुत पुअर थी. उस वक्त करीब 842 ऐसी थी for 1,000 males. We wanted to correct it. तो he said कि जब भी आप के यहाँ पर गांव में, ख़ास तौर से पुअर परिवारों में जहाँ ये प्रॉब्लम ज़्यादा थी, वहाँ लड़की पैदा होती है, तो उनको कैश इंटरवेंशन दिया जाए, जिसमें जब लड़की होती है तो उसके इमीडिएटली बाद में उसके नाम नेशनल सेविंग सर्टिफिकेट खरीद के वो उसके नाम जमा करा दिए जाते हैं. जब वो 18 साल की हो जाएगी तो 20,000, और जब उसके बाद में अगर 20-21 साल तक हो जाए तो 25,000 उसको मिल जाएंगे. तो शादी की चिंता नहीं रहेगी. और उसकी माँ को, चूँकि उसको सास पूरा खाने को नहीं देती एंड कहती क्या ये जन के रख दी लड़की, तो वो उसको भी 500 रुपये इमीडिएटली पटवारी जाके दे आए. सो वी स्टार्टेड दिस स्कीम and it had spectacular result. Once when I was in the World Bank, there was a discussion with the President World Bank on the cash intervention. I got the assessment of that scheme done. It was found that the gender ratio has substantially improved in 3 years. So the point I'm trying to make is, again, I learned something from my juniors at that time. So throughout your career, this is a beautiful journey, and you get to learn so many things. You learn from your seniors, you learn from the people all the time. In fact, आम आदमी को, सबसे गरीब आदमी को जितनी चीज़ें पता होती हैं, चाहे कहे चाहे ना कहे, लेकिन उसका परसेप्शन बहुत शार्प होता है. वहाँ से आपको बहुत चीज़ें पता लगती हैं. एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई ट्राई टू डू. हमारे उसमें भी लिखा हुआ था, एंड आई वाज एज दे यूज्ड टू कॉल KTP, कीन ट्रेनिंग प्रोबेशनर. उसमें लिखा था कि 14 दिन महीने में कम से कम गांव में रहना है, तो गांव में रहते थे. लेकिन उसमें जो लर्निंग होती थी, दैट वाज फैंटास्टिक. एनीवे, आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल टू समीर जी एंड टू स्कॉच फाउंडेशन फॉर एसोसिएटिंग मी with this beautiful event, and I congratulate all my colleagues who have got this award. आम तौर से हम सुनते हैं जब भी ब्यूरोक्रेसी के बारे में कोई बात होती है, अरे इंडिया की तो प्रोग्रेस हो ही नहीं सकती बिकॉज ऑफ आर ब्यूरोक्रेसी. दे आर दी पीपल जिनको हमेशा विपिंग बॉय कहा जाता है. तो आज उनका रिकग्निशन हुआ, मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई. उन सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई. और मैं हो सकता है कि कभी दोबारा से लाइफ में साथ मिलने का काम करने का मौका लगे इनडायरेक्टली. आई विल बी डिलाइटेड टू वर्क. थैंक यू एंड कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस.
With congratulations to everyone, it's time for the vote of thanks. And I present to you the youngest member of SKOCH Parivar, Suvrat Dhanjal.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would just like to congratulate all of the awardees. And I would also like to take a minute for thanking all of you to come to SKOCH Public Service Award and then SKOCH Literature Award. I would also like you to proceed to the launch for lunch. Thank you.